That credit card limit increase you didn't ask for isn't a reward. It's a test, and you're being graded. Most people see the notification and feel a small flash of pride. The bank thinks you're responsible. You've earned it, you've leveled up. But that feeling is exactly what the bank is counting on, because the number on your statement didn't change to congratulate you. It changed to watch you. Every unrequested limit increase is a controlled experiment, and you're the subject. The bank has already decided you're worth studying, and now it wants to see what you do with a little more room. Whether you'll fill it, ignore it, or dance somewhere in between. And whatever you choose, they've already run the math on what it earns them. So let's get into what's really happening the moment your limit goes up. Why the bank raises it before you ever ask, and how the same decision that feels like a win quietly becomes the most profitable thing you'll do for them all year. So why does the bank raise your limit before you've said a word? It starts with a pattern. Banks watch your account the way a coach watches a promising player. They see when you pay on time, they see how much of your limit you actually use, and they see whether your balance climbs and clears in a steady, predictable rhythm. To you, that's just normal life. To them, it's a signal, and the signal they're hunting for is simple. This person can handle more. There's a number underneath all of this called your utilization rate, which is how much of your available credit you're using at any given time. Someone with a $2,000 limit who carries a $900 balance is sitting near 45%. That's high enough to look a little stretched, and well past what experts call the 30% threshold, the point most lenders consider the line between healthy and risky. But raise that same person's limit to $5,000, and overnight the exact same balance looks like 18%. Nothing about their spending changed, but on paper they suddenly look far more responsible, and far safer to lend even more to. That's the quiet magic of the automatic increase. It makes you look better to the bank, to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and to yourself, all without you doing anything at all. And a customer who looks safe is a customer the bank is willing to extend further, because every extra dollar of headroom is a dollar you might eventually borrow. But here's the part that matters. The bank isn't raising your limit because you're near the ceiling and struggling. It's raising it precisely because you're not. The best test subjects are the ones who look like they don't need the extra room at all, because those are the ones whose behavior is most worth measuring. It's also worth knowing how this happens without leaving a mark. An automatic limit increase typically involves what's called a soft pull, a background check on your credit profile that doesn't affect your score the way a hard pull from a new application would. You didn't apply, so nothing gets flagged. The bank just quietly looked, liked what it saw, and moved the number. Now the experiment begins. The moment your limit jumps, a question gets planted in the back of your mind, whether you notice it or not. There's more room now, so what will you do with it? The bank already knows most people can't leave it alone. It's a phenomenon behavioral economists call lifestyle creep, the quiet tendency to spend more simply because more is available. Give someone a bigger plate, and they serve themselves more food. Give someone a bigger limit, and their sense of what's normal to spend slowly expands to match it. This is what the bank is really watching for, not whether you'll max it out tomorrow, because that would actually make you riskier. What they want to see is the drift. The dinner you'd have skipped now feels affordable. The purchase you'd have delayed now fits, and your balance doesn't spike. It rises, gently, month after month, and settles into a new baseline you barely remember agreeing to. They're measuring something else too, which is your restraint, or your lack of it. Every account gets sorted into a type. There's the customer who treats the new limit like it isn't there, pays in full every month during the grace period before any interest kicks in, and costs the bank almost nothing. There's the customer who grows into the extra room and starts carrying a balance, making only the minimum payment some months and letting the rest compound. And there's the one who was always going to spend right up to whatever ceiling they were given, no matter how high it went. The bank isn't hoping you'll fail. It doesn't need you to. It just needs to know which type you are. Because once it knows exactly how to profit from you. And here's the uncomfortable truth waiting underneath all of it. No matter which type you turn out to be, the house has already built a way to win. Think about the two people who sit at opposite ends of that experiment, and how the bank makes money off both. Start with the spender, the one who grows into the new room and carries a balance. This is the obvious win. Every dollar they don't pay off becomes interest. And credit card interest, the APR, or annual percentage rate, is among the most expensive money in the entire economy, often north of 20% a year. A higher limit doesn't just permit a bigger balance, it invites one. And a bigger balance carried month after month is quite simply the most profitable customer a card issuer can have. The bank raised the ceiling, the customer rose to meet it, and the meter now runs a little faster on every statement. But here's what most people miss. The person who pays in full and never touches interest, the one who thinks they've beaten the game, is making the bank money too. Every time that card gets swiped, the merchant pays a fee, and a slice of that fee flows straight back to the bank. It's called interchange. A bigger limit means bigger comfort, bigger purchases, and more swipes, and every one of them pays the house, whether or not a single cent of interest is ever charged. That interchange revenue is also what funds the rewards programs and cashback offers that make the card feel like it's working for you. And it is, just never more than it's working for them. So look at what the increase really did. It nudged the spender toward debt and interest, and it nudged the disciplined one toward more spending and more fees. One path pays through what you owe, the other pays through what you buy. There's no version of this where raising your limit costs the bank anything, because the increase only ever widens the range of ways you can pay them. That's not a loophole in the system. That is the system, working exactly as designed. So how do you pass a test the bank never told you that you were taking? You start by seeing the increase for what it is. Not a reward, not a verdict on your character, just a bigger number and an open question about what you'll do with it. The pride is optional. The room is real, but only useful if you decide how it gets used instead of letting it decide for you. The move that quietly wins is the one that feels like nothing at all. Treat the new limit as if it never arrived. Keep spending to what you actually plan to spend, and let the extra headroom sit there unused. Do that, and something interesting happens. Your utilization drops, your FICO score often benefits, and since utilization accounts for roughly 30% of that score, the effect is real, and you get every advantage of the higher limit without spending $1 more to earn it. You've taken the one thing the increase was designed to give the bank, a wider range of ways to profit from you, and turned it into leverage for yourself. Because that's the part they're counting on you to miss. A higher limit is only a trap if you walk into the extra room. Left empty, it's just a stronger position, more available credit, lower utilization, and more flexibility for the moment you genuinely need it. The tool doesn't change, only who it serves. So the next time that notification arrives and offers you a little flash of pride, take the compliment if you want it. Then remember what it actually is. It's a test. And the people who pass aren't the ones who spend the most or the least. They're the ones who understood, before the bank did, exactly what they were being graded on.